So hello everyone, I'm Lynn Hamilton. I'm the lead instructor, hopefully your favorite lead instructor here at Samson Properties. And today's session we are going to walk through the understanding of a buyer consultation and also kind of, it rolls over to a seller consultation as well, but primarily focusing on the buyer consultation today. We're going to go through some basic preliminary foundation, and then we're literally going to go through page by page of the handout that you all have. So grab your pencil because you're going to be writing some things down as we go through it. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm glad you are here. My word of wisdom for you is confusion equals fear. Fear equals panic, and panic equals paralysis. We want to make sure that none of those things fall into your wheelhouse, because we know that there's changes going on right now, but you know what? Bottom line is, it's okay. It's okay. We want to make sure that we are guiding you through. So a couple things that we have done, or I have done to make sure you've got quick access to stuff, is on my website, which is nothing more than lynnhamilton.samsonproperties.net. The Agent Resource Center is the tab that I have added. It has obviously things that you need or need quick access to. If I'm teaching and not answering my phone and answering emails, and you have a quick question or need to see and go back and listen to one of the Zoom meetings that we've done on Thursdays or whatever, it's all right here for you. So on the listen and learn, let me just show you, ta-da, there it is. And there is a recorded session of this if you need to go back and listen to, and then there's all the other Thursday classes that we've done as well. Also in Samson University, hopefully you all know how to get to that. Cardinal Nest, I like to go to quick links. It drops it down to Samson University. When you get to there, scroll down. I'm going to teach you all to say scroll down, because every once in a while I'll get a call, Lynn, I don't see your channel on there. Did you scroll down? No. Scroll down. There you go, scroll down, and there it is. They have taken all 28 classes that I have already previously recorded for you over the last 2 years and put them in on a quick one-stop shop. So there you go, that's where they're at. When you go to it, always remember that every session, when you click on the link, the video will show up at the top. Scroll down, because underneath it is a box that's got any handout or bonus material that goes with that particular session. So scroll down. There you go. And there we are. So quick reminder, Thursdays, we do have a 1 o'clock session. It is done by Zoom. The link for it is on the Cardinal Nest calendar, and every week is a different topic. The 1 o'clock class is usually what's part of our learning trails, and then the 2:30 class, yes, we take a quick break and come right back, is your Master Your Marketing. If you have completed Jumpstart sessions 1, 2, 3, and 4, 4 talks about the 4 pillars in the marketing department of your business. And in this 2:30 class, we usually take a different topic every week and take a deep dive into it. If you don't know, I hold nothing back. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, what works, what doesn't work, and why, and all of the extra tidbits that you need to know to go along with it. So there you go. All right, a couple quick class rules. Always phones off or on silent, because if not, you know me, I will answer them. I want you to be open to some new ideas. I'm always going to ask, may I have your permission to be blunt and honest with you, tell you what you need to know and not always what you want to hear? Give me a thumbs up if we're good. Yes, all right, fantastic. Because if not, I'm in big trouble. I'm going to ask you to hear my heart and forgive my mouth, but you'd have to laugh at my stupid jokes. That was supposed to be one of them. Okay, there you go. I heard some chuckles. Main thing is I want you to learn something new, but more important, I want you to implement what you have learned. Because you can learn and learn and learn and learn and learn, and if you do anything with it, it does you no good. So always implement what you have learned and bring it to life. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about real quick is who does not have, just quick show of hands, who does not have First Up loaded on their phone? You all have First Up loaded on your phone. I'm seeing some yeses, I'm seeing some nos. Okay, so what we're going to ask you to do is, if you haven't already, please upload First Up onto your phone. And when you get that cute little icon thing, and it's FYRST, up, it's going to ask for your email address. It is the email address that you have on file at Samson Properties. The password, lowercase, is welcome. From there, it's going to ask you to you can reset your password, And there you've got it. We're going to talk about this as one of the huge sell your value points and why it's important to have, and you will see where that comes in here shortly. So make sure you've got that uploaded on your phone, and if you need extra tips on how to use it, we've got some extra training materials or a couple of quick videos that'll help you. Basically, it is the Match.com of Samson Real Estate. So if you've got a buyer and you put your buyer needs in there and somebody else has a listing and they put their listing stuff in there, it runs its little schematics back and forth and then it goes bing, bing, bing when it finds a match and will notify the two agents that there's a match so you two can connect. Now, oftentimes these are properties that are not on the market yet. So it's off-market listings. This is the huge buzzword in working with buyers now is, do you want to see some of the properties that are available or do you want to see them all? You want to see them all? This is why you need to work with a professional. There you go. All right, so we're going to come back to that, but I just want to make sure that you all have First Up loaded up. All right. Also, Samson has done a phenomenal job in creating a new success guide for you on, again, Cardinal Nest. Left-hand side of the dashboard, you see under resources, it says Seller's Guide. There you go. You got all kinds of great resources there. If you are unfamiliar with that, wanted to make sure that you knew about it. A great comment. What you learn today is what's going to help you earn tomorrow. Okay? So, who can tell me who this guy is? Shout it out.
Uncle Casey Samson.
Uncle Casey Samson, yes indeed. So Uncle Casey Samson made a comment back in March at the sales meeting. And I went, drop the mic, I'm going home, I'm done. His comment was, as we were talking about the new norm that we're going to be experiencing, is we, as in realtors, just need to do a better job at explaining how the business of real estate works. I hope that you will all memorize that line, and it should be able to flow right off your tongue just as easily as, hey, my name is Lynn. Or you wouldn't say Lynn because I'm Lynn and you wouldn't use my name, I would hope. So, but Casey said that, I went, that's brilliant. We just need to learn to do a better job at explaining how the business of real estate now works. So there you go. So there's our Mr. Casey, Uncle Casey. In learning to sell your value and educating the consumer on how the business of real estate works, you need to educate them on the process. You need to educate them on the options, the funds that are going to be needed, the common mistakes that are often made by the consumer, and then educate them on the value that you bring to the table. Once you have done that, you will be earning your keep. So there you go. All right, so I also always like to share, we know that you have questions because guess what? We have answers. A quick reminder, if you are not watching the sales meetings, I would encourage you to do so. I get it, you're independent contractors, and technically you don't have to. However, who knows when the sales meetings are? Shout it out. Don't all speak at once. The third Wednesday of every month. Here's what I would challenge you to do. After class, put it on your calendar, the third Wednesday of every month. It is at 10 o'clock. Set it to repeat. Set it to repeat. If you are unable to make it into Chantilly for the live show, you can also watch it live streaming. If you are unable to make it to either of those, here's what I'm going to ask. Gang, it is time that we learn to sharpen our skills. And one of the things that is critical and is important is to paying attention to the information that's being passed along to you via our management team. And sales meetings is huge. So if you are not able to attend live and or watch it live streaming, I'm going to ask you to make a commitment to your business to watch it within 24 hours. The reason for that is if something is changing, which we know it's going to, and going to do it quickly, this is one of the methods that we can get the information out. Gang, don't blow it off. Don't blow it off. If you're watching it on replay and you don't want to listen to the rah-rah, take the little button at the bottom and fast forward it. When it gets into Donnie and Sarah, they're going to share words of wisdom with you. They're going to give you some updates of what's going on. Please don't miss it. You want an update from the lender because loans are going to be changing? You need to listen. You need an update from title. And if you're not aware of the title wiring fraud that's going on, that tells me you've been missing sales meeting for the last several months because it has been talked about and has been shared. And we want to make sure, again, your job is to help educate the consumer on how the business of real estate works. You need to know what's going on, all right? I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Remember, because you gave me permission to hear my heart and forgive my mouth, because I'm going to shoot it out about this point in time. Gang, realize you have the ability to financially ruin somebody. You have the ability to bankrupt somebody. I've seen it done. I've seen agents go into a transaction, 1031 exchange comes top of mind. They didn't know what a 1031 was, but they helped the client because they thought they knew everything. It was a residential, but it was used for business. Ended up costing that client $30,000. It's a lot of money. Client was PO'd, but couldn't do anything about it. People are asking you to help them with the biggest financial purchase of their life. You don't have the right to mess it up. You don't have the right to mess it up. You are being asked to help them as a professional. You better know what's going on and what the changes are and why and how to handle them. So there's a lot of weight on our shoulders. And I want you to just kind of step back and take a deep breath and realize the weight and the trust that people are putting on your shoulders. And don't take it lightly. I don't care if you do one transaction a year. I don't care if you do 101 transactions a year. You need to know the same information. And I see heads nodding in the audience, so thank you for that. All right. That was the hear my heart, forgive my mouth moment. All right, broker. Your brokers are going to have some phenomenal training for you as well. If you have not listened to the commission compensation conversation that was recorded by Richard and Donnie, please go back and watch it. Samson University also is full of valuable information, and please do not miss our HQ-to-U. The reason for that is we are bringing you up-to-date information. It's time for me to start class. Let me go shut my alarm off. God, why is that going off? That was supposed to have been off. Yeah, don't let Lynn hear your phone because, we'll answer it. All right. So, HQ-to-U is the other great tool that is available for you. If you've gone to one, come back. In fact, go to another area. Go to one of our other states. Because guess what? Not everybody is licensed in Virginia. If they're DC, Maryland, they may not have a Virginia license, and vice versa. Go network with each other. Get to know each other. So when the day comes that you need an agent in one of the other footprints, or you don't want to go up there to handle one, you already know who to turn to. Instead of going to the Facebook page and posting that you need an agent and hoping like heck that you find somebody that knows what they're doing. Go network with the other agents. HQ-to-U's are a hoot, by the way. We have a good time at them. So, and again, we do a couple of them a month, so there's hopefully no reason that you should have to miss them. Okay, let's talk about and start setting the foundation of a buyer consultation. A buyer consultation is no more than an interview. You are interviewing them, they are interviewing you. Now, have you ever had another job outside of the real estate world? Just shake your head here. Okay, shake it this way. That way when it falls off, you can catch it. Okay, good. They laughed. All right, that's good. I know they're awake. You do not just go into a building, walk in, and start working. Doesn't work that way. You find out about the position. You then go about applying because you've foo-fooed up your resume to match what the needs are. You go in and meet with them. You sell your value. They talk about what they're looking for and hoping to find in an employee. You sell your skills. You come to agreement. This could be a good thing, right? And then you still don't start working then. You wait until the paperwork is in place and you have your agreement and the compensation is mapped out as well. Now, pause there. For some positions, you have to wait for your security clearance to come through. But other than that, once it's signed, you're ready to start working for them. Gang, this is no different. Same thing on the listing side. You don't just find a cute property and oh, I'm going to start marketing that because someday they're going to want to sell it. I know they are. You don't start working for them until you've got a signed listing agreement, correct? So there is and should be no difference in your mindset about the value and the purpose of a buyer consultation. Drop the mic, I'm going home. See y'all later. Got to go bye. It's the same thing. Same thing. But for years, and I've been around for a long time, for years, when the market is easy, agents flock into this business because they think it's going to be easy money. And I wish I had $5 for every time an agent told me, oh, I thought it was going to be easier than this. I'd be retired down in Florida with Deb Gorham. All right? I'm just letting you know. So yes, there is some tools and some things that need to be put into place. And when you think of your buyer consultation as nothing more than an interview, you are 10 steps ahead of the game. Now, quick show of hands, and those that are watching this on replay, you can nod and play along too. Have you ever had a client that you thought, I'm going to kill them until God they died? No, I think I'm going to own this one, okay? And you've got them in your car, and you're thinking, wait a minute. If I can take this next exit at 90 miles an hour and shoot them out the window, can I get away with it? That is probably not the client you want in your car. All right? Now, years ago, I had a neighbor who was an electrician for the Navy, and he was the one that wired the jump seats or the ejection seats out of the planes. So I caught him one day coming in from work, and I said, hey, James, how's it going? He said, good. And I said, curiosity, you still wiring those seats? And he said, yes. And I said, great, can you put one in my car? And he said, no. I said, but come on. You get those clients every once in a while, you just need to drop kick them to the floor. And I said, but I have a sunroof in my car. I can open the sunroof, put the ejection seat, and send them flying and go, it was an accident, I don't know what happened. He laughed, he wouldn't do it. I said, well, you're not a good neighbor then. I thought you were my friend. We had a good giggle. But the point to that was sometimes we have clients that we just want to choke out. Once you have done an interview with them, you get to decide early on if you want to hire them or fire them. There you go. All right, so think of your buyer consultation as no different than a job interview or a listing appointment. And by the way, here's what I'm going to ask you to commit to. In addition to committing to sharpening your skills and getting better and listening to the sales meeting and attending the JTD-U and the other stuff that we have available, I'm going to ask you to do a buyer consultation as you would a seller consultation every time. Or at least make sure that you have given them the materials and highlighted certain pages. And when we go through this today, I'm going to tell you which pages need to be highlighted. The reason for that is, let's say you get in hot water and you have to go before a panel of whomever. One of the questions they're going to ask is, did you do a buyer consultation? You're going to go, well, I sometimes do. How do you decide who you do one for and who you don't do one for? Couldn't that be determined as discrimination a bit? How do you determine who you do and don't do one for? Think about that one, okay? So from this point forward, give me a thumbs up, shake your head yes. You will commit to doing and providing a buyer consultation every time for your potential buyers. Got it? Got it. I'm seeing heads nod and thumbs going up, down. That's great. All right. So in looking at what is our next step, Our next step is to perfect your buyer and your seller consultation. You need to be able to explain and obtain the signed buyer broker agreement, because isn't that a regulation now? It's no longer optional. Never should have been, but just my opinion, okay? You need to be comfortable at explaining how compensation works. And if those three things aren't in place, now is the perfect time to fix that. Okay, we good? Yes, all right. Let's talk real quick about compensation versus commission. I know that these have been two terms that have been frequently overlapped in use, cross-reference willy-nilly. Let me break it down in a different platform for you. Your commission is what you negotiate with your brokerage. The compensation that you negotiate with the client is the compensation that goes to the brokerage. Okay? The minute you say, my commission is, and I'm just going to use a number for the example, the minute you say, my commission is 3%, the first question out of some of their mouths are going to be, will you do it for less? Once you say that, my commission is, you have just backed yourself up into a corner that you can't get out of very easily. Because that question is going to come flying right out of their mouth. Whether they know someone who will do it for less or not, they're going to pretend they do and ask. So you just put yourself in an awkward position. What I'd rather have you say is, based off the skills and expertise that we provide, the compensation that goes to my brokerage is, and again, I'm just using the number, 3%. You can use whatever number you choose. But for the example, I'm using 3. So the compensation that goes to the brokerage is 3%. Gang, they don't know, they, the consumer, does not know if you're on a 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, or 100%. And it is my opinion that they don't need to know. It's really none of their business. But you have just put yourself in an awkward position when you say my commission is. Now, granted, Samson, for the most, but not all, because you may be a new agent, you may be still under mentorship, you may be part of a team, your split can be almost anything. The consumer does not know that. So you're negotiating with the consumer the compensation that goes to the brokerage. Because at the end of a transaction, does that check come in payable to you? No, it doesn't. It goes to the brokerage. The brokerage then provides you your cut or your commission based off what your agreed terms are. Okay, make sense? We got that?
Fascinating. Because commission is on the mindset of every agent. It's not the compensation of the broker. And you just clarified something for me. I've been around the block, but this is valuable.
Thank you. Thank you. For those that are on the recording, she said that this is valuable because she's been in the business for 20 plus years and this has never been clarified. Okay. I was talking to a friend in California who is heavily involved on the legalese side of stuff, and I shared this and he went, oh my God, that's the best way I've heard it. So he took it back to California and they have just changed all their contracts to read correctly. 2 points for that one. So my claim to fame, there you go. All right, so let's take a look, and we're going to go through the handout that you all have. We're going to go page by page through the buyer consultation. Now, let me set the foundation. Have you ever gone and done a consultation with someone and thought, ooh, I nailed it, I did such a good job, they're going to hire me for sure, I know it. And then you find out that 2 days later, they went with somebody else. Anybody ever had that happen? Yes, I'm seeing some hands pop up. You bet. I'm going to bust your bubble. Part of that was your fault. Okay? And here's why. As a certified or certifiable, I'm not sure which I am, disc instructor, I understand the D, the I, the S, the C personality styles. When you are dealing with a consumer, especially right up front, you have no idea if they're a D, an I, an S, or a C. Now, we are a mix of all of the above. It just depends on which one's higher than the other. So as we go through the buyer consultation, I'm going to be referencing just slightly who that page may be talking to, the D, the I, the S, or the C, and I'll give you a breakdown here in a sec. The other component of personality is we have 3 learning styles. We are either auditory, visual, or kinesthetic, which means we need to have our hands on it. Okay? We are no different than kids. We have 3 learning styles, and according to some neuro specialists, they're saying we as adults are now more ADD than ever before. Why? Our phones. Our phones go off all the time. They go off anywhere from 100 to 150 times a day. It's a bing, it's a bong, it's a this message, it's a this. Michael's is having a sale. Newsflash, Michael's is always having a sale. They're laughing at me. This is great. Okay, so, but it is. You think about the number of times your phone bings or bongs during the course of the day. It's 100 to 150 times. And we are programmed to stop the world and go take a look and see what it is. So our attention span is about this big. So yeah, we got an issue there. All right, so it's important to remember that you have the D, which is the person that's very dominant, very demanding. My way, the highway, cut and get to the bottom line. They want to know the facts, the figures. Do not show a D a property and go, and here's the kitchen, and here's the bathroom, and isn't it pretty? Because they're going to look at you and go, do you think I'm an idiot? Now, they will think it and they will say it. Okay? When you're dealing with a D, you want to be able to go square footage, year built, that roof is this old, all the major components, whatever, facts and data. Shoot it out at them. Boom, 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 boom. Now, if you're a high I, you want to show, you want all the fluff and stuff. The D, they don't give a rip. And they will tell you sometimes. So that's your D. That's your I. Your I is going to look at this and go, you did this for me? Like you're the only client that you've ever done it for, okay? But they're going to assume you did this just for them. Your S is one that's very steady. They do not want to be taken advantage of. They want to know there's a system. They want to know you have a system. They want to know that you're going to follow the system. And don't jack them around. Now, your C's are ones that are very compliant. They want to know that there's rules and regulations and you follow them. So to tell them that you are ethical, their response is, okay, big deal, prove it, show me. So there's some things in here that will show your ethics, and when we get to that page, I'm going to point it out to you so you got it, okay? So there's your D, your I, your S, your C, your 3 learning styles, and a little bit of ADD thrown in there as well. And you wonder why you're not connecting. We as agents need to become that chameleon. And yes, in Samson University, there's 2 parts, part 1, part 2 of the DISC assessment. If you haven't had a chance to study that, that is one that you don't listen to lightly. You kind of need to have the printout in front of you and really zero in on it. Shut the phones off and have your ADD on control, because it really is valuable information that will help then build out a better foundation. When you've done a consultation and haven't connected with them, because you may have been an I and they're a D, you talk to them in a completely different language. They cannot connect with you. That is why they went with somebody else. Because you did not connect with them. You sold them on what you thought was important for them to hear, not taking into consideration their personality style, let alone their learning style. So for those that are kinesthetic and visual, you don't give them a handout, you just lost them. Because trust me, they're not going to remember, I'm going to say 75 to 90% of what you said. Now, you may be auditory, and you're going to talk and 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 talk some more. And then when you get into a problem in the transaction, you go, but I told them. Yeah, you told them a lot of stuff, and they forgot most of it. Have it to them in writing. You just CYA. Y'all know what CYA stands for? Cover your, there you go. All right, so that is the foundation of that I want you to have in considering doing your buyer and seller consultations. At this point, you probably don't know what they are. Now, down the road, when you get a chance to study the disc a little more, you will pick up on some traits, which we call out in the handouts, and you go, oh, okay, they're the I, they're the D, and you'll be able to kind of catch a little bit of what they are. As a certified disc instructor, it was one of the best things I ever did because I learned it from early on and then was able to be that chameleon just a little bit and be able to zero in on what they were and talk to them in what was important to them. The D don't want to see the kitchen. They want to know how old the appliances are because they're calculating, okay, if they're this old, they're going to go out in this many years, I'm going to need this amount of money. That's what their brain is calculating. Not, isn't this cute? Because they will look at you and they will come out and ask, what do you think, I'm an idiot? Okay, so be careful with those. But understand, most in management and higher up are often Ds. Most agents, and again, I have done disc assessments on hundreds of agents. Most of us are a mix of a high I with an S and a C right behind it. Oftentimes, our D is a little bit lower, but you make us mad or you put us into a dang it moment, our D is going to escalate, which is okay. There you go. All right, so let's all reference our handouts, if you would please, on page 4. I will call these out as we go. This is the front cover. Here's where I want you to highlight and mark. I'm going to take my staple out, see if I can do this without breaking a fingernail, because if I do, I'll say a bad word. You don't want to hear that. All right, there we go. We're getting this. I did it. Okay, there we go. All right, so on the first page of your handout, or your first cover page, across the top, this is going to be provided to you and is available to you in a Word document. I know that our marketing department is also working on having it available in other platforms as well, but I'm going to give you the general rule of thumb. So highlight the border across the top. It says customize your header with all your contact information. That is where your name, your phone number, your website, and your email would go. If you are using Word and you go into the header and put it in there, it automatically converts it over to all the pages within the document. Same thing at the very, very bottom, underneath the blue line. It says Samson Properties, add your office address here. Obviously, add your office address there, and it will populate to all the pages over. Now, you can customize this to your heart's content, and you want to brand yourself with a particular color, you may do so. You need help with changing the border color or the font color or anything else, let us know. If you are not familiar with Word at all or whatever platform you're going to use it in, well, we can help and get it done. Now, the picture that is on here in the middle, make a note to the side, please. If you want to change that, obviously you can do so, but it must be a royalty-free image. My preferred go-to source, only because I've used it for a million times over, is Pixabay, and it's P-I-X-A-B-A-Y, Pixabay. Yes, there are other royalty-free platforms and sites out there, so if you Google one, you want to use another one, A-OK. Just make sure it is royalty-free. If not, that can get you in hot water. Pixabay, P-I-X-A-B-A-Y, Pixabay. So all you can do is go in, type in like house, and it'll come up with thousands. You just got to scroll through a little bit, scroll down, hit next, it'll bring the next batch, all right? Find one that appeals to you. Okay, easy as can be. So there you go, that's one option. Next, in the middle of the front page, please put your information in there. I have a cute story while you're making some notes on your paper. Years ago, I was doing a training on a listing consultation with a new agent I was helping, and I gave her my sample, and I emailed it to her. She was supposed to customize it. She had a listing appointment that night. So she went off on a merry way. I got a call the next day that says, it was so nice to meet you. I was so impressed with your marketing strategy and your plan of attack. Would like to hire you to handle my listing. I knew exactly what had happened. So I called her and I said, so, how'd the appointment go last night? I hear I did a really good job. And she goes, oh, okay. And we started laughing. So we reintroduced ourselves to the client with the two of us, saying that, yes, we work together often, and that she would be, doing the bulk of it from that point forward. But that was funny. So please make sure you put your information on. Actually, I had to go back and put mine on there and see who doesn't change it. There you go. All right. The other thing I recommend to have on there is the disclaimer in that box. It says, information provided is deemed correct but not guaranteed. Why do we do that? CYA. Things can change at a moment's notice in this industry. And right now we are in this, I'm going to say this gray area that we're all trying to tap dance in. And my tap shoes wore out years ago. So I would leave that on there. Okay. First page in there is the Samson properties. It gives a little bit of information about Samson. If you have or can get a picture of your office space and want to add it in there, it looks impressive. Here is the page for the Ds. First off, you do not need to read this to them. You just say, as you can see, Samson Properties has a strong and stable footprint in the area. We have been around for a long time. We have X number of offices. And the beauty of that is, if we need to meet in any of the other locations, I've got access and we can meet at any of our offices. So if they're working wherever and you need to meet them someplace closer to their work, it can be done. Okay, so that is the beauty of that page. That D personality is going to go, wow. The C is going, wow, impressive. Okay, the bottom has two clip arts. One is the graph of the showing that Samson has the domination in the area. You can change that out to something from your particular area, your footprint, whatever, so that can be changed out as well. I did include in there the Samson motto, which I kind of like having in there. So we've included and left that in there. But again, you may do what you want with the bottom clip arts down there, okay? And again, all you need to say on that is, this is just to show that Samson's got strong footprint and well-respected in the area. Just wanted to let you see that. You can read about it more if you are interested. Boom, move on. Next page over. This is our bragging rights. This is the one where we are showing that, yeah, we're all that in a bag of chips. So, all right, gentlemen in the back, I'm going to switch my screen real quick. So I am going to go over to and bring up, so if you all will bear with me for a second, I'm going to bring up so it will show on screen the buyer consultation. And so those that are watching later can, I think it's this one. Hopefully I got the right one. Yes, I do. Okay. So if you'll kind of bear with me as we maneuver through. So that's the reason for that page, is that it's showing that, again, we have accolades of our accomplishments, and we're proud of that, and I just want to show off for a minute. That's all you need to say. For those that want to read it, which is going to be your I's and your S's, they're going to come back and look at this later. You do not need to take more than, I'm going to say, 10 seconds on that page, okay? All right, let's scroll down to the next page where it's, let me introduce myself. This is your bio. Again, it should be short, sweet, and to the point. It is not the long and lengthy everything you've done since you were a child in kindergarten and you got a smiley face on your first paper that you turned in. It is business related. The takeaway with a bio is they are looking to connect with you some way quickly. So they don't want to read this long, lengthy thing. They want to say, oh, I grew up in that area too, or I went to that college too, or I've got kids there too, or I've got I've got dogs too, or I got cats too, or whatever it is. I have a boa constrictor at home. I don't know, whatever it is. So they are looking as they peruse it, something to connect with you on. So that's why short, sweet, and to the point is important. Your alphabet soup, they don't know what that is, and most of them don't care. All right, so that would be at the bottom, underneath your signature, or your name at the bottom. Now, you will also see on your handout, and yeah, I added an extra one in there, testimonial. This is a great way to say what others have had to say about working with me. You can call it testimonial. You can change the verbiage to what others have had to say or what others think about that, you know, who I've had the privilege to work with. However you want to word that, knock yourself out. Now, I am hoping at this point that you all have your KV Core website activated. If you do not, see me after class or email me. We'll make sure that you've got it activated and that it's working. On there is a tab and that you should have for your testimonials. Once that is done, how cool is it to create, through my favorite platform, QR Code Monkey. QR Code Monkey, my favorite. I got no skin in the game on it, but it allows you to color gradate, like I've got on here on the screen on the page, and it also allows you to put a picture in the middle. What I would recommend is once you've got your website activated, go to the page where your testimonials are at, grab that entire link, take it over and create a QR code that'll go directly to that page. You can have as many QR codes as you want, directing them to different things. This is a cool way to do it. So have one or two quick testimonials on there, and then the QR code that says, to learn more or to see more, scan my QR code. There you go. All right? There you have it. Now, next page over talks about the agency relationship. How I address this is I believe it is important to make sure my consumer understands what the relationship is. When you hire me, you are hiring, embedded command, you're putting it positive out there to start with. When you hire me, I will be serving as your buyer's agent. Okay? That is why buyer's agent is also bigger font. Now, occasionally check your contracts, especially as they're changing in different footprints. If the wording changes, dramatically and you want to change the verbiage on there, you may do so. But also, this is where, even though dual agency is not recommended, I have left it on there because this is a point in time that I get to sell my integrity. That is why I've left it on there. And I will tell them. So, Mr. Consumer, although dual agency is a thing in some areas in some states, I made a business decision early on that I would not do dual agency. I would not represent the client for the buy and the sell on the same property. The reason for that is a lot of my business comes from referrals. Even at that, I never want a client to look at me and wonder, so, whose best interest did you have? My side, the other side, or your own? So, I would not do a dual agency. But this, when you take a moment to share with them that it is a thing, but you will not do it, and why? You have just sold your value of your integrity because they now get it. And it's kind of like, if you've ever known, and if they question it at all, great response back is, we probably all know someone who's been through a divorce. They don't have the same lawyer. They're each represented separately. Same thing. And since, again, a lot of my business comes from referrals, I never want any of my clients to ever wonder, whose best interest did you have? So that's why I take and add that verbiage in there on that one, and then I move on, okay? Now, as we go over to the next page, which will be page 9 of the handout that we've got for class, it says, how does compensation work? What is the best business practice? This is where, if or when things change, you will update this page. We have kind of given it a generic fluff to it, but here is where you really get to shine and handle this. I would star this page. Do not cut corners on this page in this conversation. This is where it is absolutely critical that you share with your consumer how the business of real estate now works. So, again, if there some agents may choose to do a contingency or a retainer fee. If your business model is different, adjust that first paragraph as you need to. Frankly, that's not my style. But again, if that is what you choose to do, you may adjust it. The second paragraph comes, and the buyer side covers the compensation for the buyer brokerage. However, now, once you say that to them, I want you to look them square in the eye, don't blink, and don't look away. For some of you, you're going to need to practice that. Because if they turn deer in the headlights and turn white as a ghost when they realize they now need to cover that part, that is your perfect opportunity to continue the conversation. So, based on the look on your face, Ms. Buyer, am I safe to guess that that may not be an option? Talk to me. And they will tell you. Lynn, I don't have an extra whatever, all right? You know right up front. So it would be at that point that I'd say, fine, okay, thank you for, we're conversation here, so thank you for letting me know. There are options. Now, I always like to say, is it an option? Is it your only option? Is it your best option? Not sure, we got to peruse through these. So with that, I would continue my conversation with my buyer to go something along the lines of, although the paperwork will show that it comes from the buyer side. You just told me, again, we're going to role play out a couple of options. You just shared that that is not going to be an option for you. I get it. It's okay. Based off that, may I have your permission to use some of my negotiating skills to see if I can get it from the seller side? Would you be okay with that? They're going like this, okay? That is an option. You can ask for it. Now, let me just explain how that may play out so that you're familiar with the process. Again, my job is to educate you on how the business of real estate works. So let me enlighten you just a little bit. When we find a property that you love and we're going to write an offer for it, you're going to instruct me. We're going to ask for the broker's compensation to be included in the purchase, in the price. So we're going to write that in there. Now, based off this experience and expertise that we offer, which you're going to see as we go through this presentation a little bit more, we ask 3%. So we will ask for 3%. Now, if they come back, and they may say yes, they may say flat no, and they may come back with a counter offer. Because all offers can be accepted, rejected, or countered back. If they counter back and say, well, no, my seller's only going to settle or offer 2, okay, now we know. So what are the options then? Because don't forget, we have options. So in that scenario, the option would be, I would come back, I'd give you the counter offer back. You would say, I can't get that extra 0.5%, 1%, whatever it is. So one of two things will happen. Agents, you will decide if you were going to work for the 2% or not. Or if your seller does not flat out have it, they don't have it. I heard an agent say this once. I swear I wanted to go bop them upside the head in the middle of the night when they were sound asleep and just go, what were you thinking? Their comment to me was, this was a couple months ago, well, they're just going to have to figure it out. Or we're just going to sign the contract and they can figure it out between then and closing. Somebody put my jaw back in place. I about popped a cork. My response was, how dare you? How dare you put them in that financial jeopardy? Remember, we talked about the fact that you have the ability to financially ruin somebody, bankrupt them. Here we go. Hear my heart, forgive my mouth, because it's coming. If they can't cover it, they can't cover it. If they don't have it, they don't have it. If they say, well, I think Grandma can loan it to me, I want to see it in writing, and I want to talk to Grandma maybe even. Because what happens, okay, we're going to go down this rabbit hole. You say, well, you're going to have to figure it out, or you're going to have to get it from somebody. You accept the offer, and it goes back, and you're now starting the process. You get to the tail end, and that client looks at you and go, Grandma won't, she's had a stroke, she can't loan it to me, or something happened and now I can't get it. You have just put your client in financial jeopardy to not only lose their deposit, but be sued. Are you okay with that? You should not be, because I will track you down in the middle of the night and come in and bop you over the head. All right? There we go. Yeah. So, again, there's options. If they have it, they have it, and if they don't, they don't. So we're gonna see the counter offer back. We're gonna discuss it. I'm gonna make a business decision. Will I work for the 2%? And if so, you're gonna adjust your paper. Talk to your broker, and find out what is currently the correct way in which to handle it, and then adjust. All right? Because what you don't want to do is say, okay, well then I'll accept the 2% and not put anything in writing. When the title company, Cardinal, gets it to process it, they do not make decisions. They do not guess what you meant. They're going to look at the contract. They're going to look at your buyer-broker agreement. Buyer-broker agreement says 3. Contract says 2. They will automatically put that extra 1% on the buyer's net sheet. You want to see your buyer go into cardiac arrest at the closing table? When they get there and find out that the paperwork was not updated and corrected, and it shows that they owe an extra $10,000, yeah, no. If you think you're going to get business from them again or get any referrals, think again. Ain't going to happen. Okay? Make sure you dot your I's and cover your T's. And we're going to hold questions to the end because we're going to have a mic, okay? So just hang with me for a second. So the options are, yes, our brokerage charges 3. We will ask for it from the other side if they tell me they don't have it. Now, they may tell me, oh, not a problem, I got it. Sweet. But you know what I would do? I would still ask for part of it. Because which is better? Again, I'm going to protect my buyer. I'd rather be able to come back to my buyer and say, okay, so we've got the offer accepted, and by the way, I hope you're okay with this and not upset with me. I just saved you $8,000. Are you okay? You're the hero because you just saved them $8,000. Even though they said they hadn't could cover it, I'd still ask. Again, my job is to protect my buyer. I don't care about the seller side. So on the seller side, again, if I was representing the seller, I'd protect their funds. And I would not put out what my seller is willing to pay. This is where this gray area of this lawsuit thing and proposed settlement thing is going to play out. We were slapped on the hand and told that we cannot disclose or should not disclose what the seller side is willing to pay on the buyer side, correct? Which is why they took that box out of the MLS. But we're coming back in trying to be creative and tap dance right back into that mud puddle that they've created for us. I'm just trying to keep you safe. I'm just trying to keep you out of the mud puddle. I'm just trying to say, hey, this ain't over and there could be changes, but let's keep you safe. So if you're on the seller side, I wouldn't disclose it. That's, again, and I've talked to Mike Briggs and some others, and they said it goes back and goes against what the intent of the lawsuit was all about. So if I was on the seller side, I would say, buyer's agent, your buyer needs, write it in the offer for me. Well, will you tell me? No, I'm not at liberty to disclose. Done. End of the conversation. Now, I know that Richmond, their paperwork is completely different. What boggles my mind is the fact that we were supposed to be given some new strict regulations, but every single state, and sometimes within the state, it is about as gray and muddy as it comes. I'm guessing they're still hoping that we're going to mess it up and they can come back. Because again, this settlement is not signed, sealed, and delivered until the end of November. Okay, so we're still in kind of this, what can we do, what can we not do? So there you go. And at the end, I'll show you some things of not to do. So when you're working with your buyer, back into this role, you have options. You discuss the options with them and how it could play out and what the options would then be. It is at that time, in fact, I would be closer in communication with your lender than I would be the other agent. Now, courtesy, I would always call the other agent and say, hey, we're preparing an offer for you. Is there anything I need to know? Sometimes they'll spill their guts and tell you stuff they're not supposed to be telling you. But that's okay. I don't represent them or their client. I'm trying to protect mine. But if I'm on that side, I ain't telling you anything. So just let them know that you are preparing an offer. Is there anything I need to know? Don't ask specifics. Don't ask, well, what are you going to pay? Leave it off the table. All right. I know that I have counseled my buyer well as to what the options are. So they know. And they know too, hey, just so you know, even though we are going to have a signed buyer-broker agreement that says 3%, I just want you to know I am not going to put you financially in harm's way and get you in a contract that you can't execute or that you are running the risk of losing your deposit. Okay? You look them square in the eye. Do not break eye contact with them. The gentle nod of the head. Lower the voice just one octave. You have just sold your integrity off the Richter scale. Because other agents from other companies probably don't even know how to say that, let alone that they would. Well, you're just going to have to pay. No, unless they're planning on robbing a bank, which means they're going to get caught. They're not going to show up at settlement. You're going to get PO'd because they don't show up. And they're avoiding your calls because they're in jail and they're only allowed one phone call a day. And then you see them on the 5 o'clock news because they were caught robbing the bank because they were trying to get the money they needed for... Yeah, no, don't go down that road. Don't go down that rabbit hole, all right? So I make fun of that, but be serious about making sure that you are doing the right thing for your client. Okay, so there you go. So we go through the conversation with them on this page, and I make sure that they understand what the options are, and I make sure that if they have any questions at that point, we're going to answer those questions regarding that topic because now I've got other stuff that I want to cover with you. Okay, next page over. Let me scroll down on my little handout. We have, okay, there's your business practices. Scrolling down even more, there we go. The reason we put the map on this one because it reflects the fact that it is for all the United States. It is not just local. It is not just one area over another. It is across the board. So with that, we have it on that page. All right, so this page is going to talk about the fact that it is now a requirement in all 50 states that a buyer-broker agreement or a right to represent is in place. We've included the date in there. So if somebody says, well, why do I need to sign this? I've never had to sign this before. I know. But let me just share with you, this is our new regulations, and this is nationwide, so it's not just local. It is nationwide. And, oh, look, right here. As of July 1st, 2012, how many years ago was that? 12, in case you need some help with math. Virginia law requires all realtors in Virginia to have a signed, written buyer-broker agreement before showing any property in Virginia or having a substantial conversation regarding a property. What part of that don't you understand? But yet agents have been doing it forever in a lifetime. There are other states where it has been a requirement. There have been other states that it was highly recommended, and agents were still blowing it off. Oh, you got a pulse? Let's go. Okay? Horror stories at the end. I'll show you some good stuff. All right? So, yes, it has been a requirement, but it's also, and I've left this in here intentionally, because this is our main footprint of DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And it shows that this has been part of our regulations for a long time. So, you just mentioned that, it's now a regulation, but you've always done it correctly. This is where, again, your integrity gets to get sold without saying, I'll do a good job, I'll have integrity, I have ethics. No, you're proving you have ethics. Because the D ain't going to believe what comes out, the foo-foo words that come out of your mouth. Neither are the S's. They want to see it, they don't want to hear it. Okay? So this is that page that also sells your integrity and your ethics. That this is the regulation, and you're going to follow the regulations. Now, pause. If they come back and say, well, I've never had to do that before, or other agents, haven't made me do that. I know. As a professional in this industry, I am going to follow the rules. And unfortunately, there are some that choose not to. Never mention another agent's name or company. I know that some choose or have chosen not to, but I just wanted to let you know, I have worked too hard to get my license and to keep it. I'm not going to lose it over something like this. Stare them in the eyes and then shut up. All right, now, that puts them on notice that you know what the regulations are. Your D's and your C's are going to go, game on, let's go. They're going to appreciate that because they are about, there's rules, the rules are to be followed, there is no other option, enough's enough. They want to know that you're going to follow those rules. So this is the show them, not tell them moment. There you go, okay? All right, next page down in your buyer consultation is my professional promise to you. My professional promise to you, again, this is yours to customize as you see fit, but I always like to start with, I will serve as your advocate, your consultant, then your realtor, and your PPS. If you don't know what the PPS stood for, that tells me you haven't gone through Jumpstart Session 1, because we talk about it a lot there. PPS is the professional problem solver. That's what I do. Also heard cats, but that's a whole other story. But as the professional problem solver for you, I will try to troubleshoot and know what's coming and either have a resolve or a solution to it from the get-go. There you go. All right. Now, again, we've got wording in here. This is one, again, we've put it in a larger font. You should be able to read this upside down. Okay? Because again, the presentation's in front of them. Ideally, bonus here, ideally, you want your client or clients to be sitting across the table from you. You do not want them on either side of you because you can't see their reactions. Okay? And if one's here and one's here, they're making eyes at each other and you're missing it. Get them right across the table from you. That way you can see them both. All right? However you want to additionally word, if you got something that you like, add it in there. I don't care. There's some of those pages, it's customized. Now, at the bottom, it says type your name here and sign. I would type your name there. So once I go through this page with them, and it's in front of them, I would say to show my commitment, I want to sign this in front of you, and you just literally bring the packet back over in front of you, pull out your pen, sign it, and hand it back to them. Your D's, your I's, your S, your C's just created a wow moment. Because they realize that you are committed, or able to be committed, I'm not sure, but are committed to putting your word as your bond. Okay? That's what carries on that one. Next page over is, let me share with you what I'm looking for in a client. I know, I got some giggles out of the crowd. This one, notice it is in bullet points. You can change the little icon bullet point if you want to boxes, squares, checks, or whatever. Okay, so, but you can also add to this as you see fit. I've left it in a bigger font. That way, again, you can read it upside down because it's in front of them and you're across the table from them. But you're looking for someone who's going to be realistic based on current market conditions. Hello. Then someone who will work with you and work with you solely, who will let them show you homes until you find one to buy, who will understand how the compensation works, will understand what you do, blah, 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 blah. You've got a couple of other points on there. There you go. There you have it. That's good. When you're done, you look at them and say, I think you fit that bill. There you go. All right. Now, they want to know. Your I's and your S's want to know what their role is. And that's where this is going to pay off big time. That is why that is included in there. Okay? Now, moving on to the next one. When you hire me, you hire the team that goes with me. Slight embedded command. When you hire me, you also hire the team that goes with me. So there's a bunch of people behind the scenes that you may or may not ever see, but just know that I have a core of professionals that I work with. Now, this is the page, again, I want you to star this one, because this is not one that you want to cut corners on and gloss over. And I'll tell you why when I go through it. If they're sitting there thinking, well, if I got to pay you 3% or 2, whatever, their brain may be thinking, can I do this myself? This is the drop the bomb, Willy Wonka golden ticket. No, they're not. Or they don't want to, once you explain. So remember, as you're going through this, part of it is to answer their questions, but overcome the objections before it ever comes out of their mouth. That is why the consultations are so valuable as well. And these have been evolved out over 20 years. Okay? Back in the day, we didn't have them. Now we do, and you get them handed to you on a silver platter. All right, so I like to use the analogy of taking a flight across country from, let's say, DC to San Diego. From here to there, just like a transaction, more than likely, there's going to be a lot of turbulence available that are going to pop up. Remember, my job is to be the PPS or the pilot. If I know the turbulence is coming, I'm going to either elevate over it, around it, under it. We're going to avoid it if possible. Based off my skills and expertise, that's where I'm going to save you some time and some hassle. Now, the last couple of paragraphs, it says on there, during the trip, we will oversee 70 to 100 pieces of paper, including contracts, disclosures, reports, and communications, most of which require signatures or initials. In addition, there's 100 to 150 phone calls, emails, you can put text messages in there as well, that are loaded with critical data, all requiring attention. Notice I have a couple of those things in bolder print. If you have a highlighter in front of you when you're working with them, I would highlight those things and you should be able to do it upside down. The reason this page is important, because if they're thinking, I wonder if I could do this myself. They're looking at this going, oh, hell no. 88 possible turbulences, I don't got time for that. You're going to lose my luggage as well. 100 pieces of paper, oh, yeah, I don't got time for that. And the phone calls, emails, text messages, are you kidding? No, I'll let you do it. Now, your D's and your S's and C's are going to go, okay. The bullet points of who your team is, it needs to be in a bullet point because, again, your D's and your S's and your C's want to skim it. They want to see it in a quick read. Your I is going to look at you and go, you do all of this and all you charge is a 3%? Would you like to pay me more? We can negotiate that. I'm just asking. Okay? That's the takeaway on that page. That is why this page, star it, do not cut corners on it. because that is the where you sell your value of what you bring to the table and why they should not consider doing it themselves. Now, let's go on to the next page. Reasons to buy a home. Again, all you have to say on this page is there's a lot of different reasons that people buy a home or choose to buy. My question to you is, Mr. Buyer, what is your reason for wanting to buy right now? That's all you need to say on that one. Get their engagement, engage them back in the conversation. Remember, this is a conversation, not an interrogation. So you want to make sure there's some communication going back and forth. They now get to interject and you get to understand why they're wanting to buy right now. Okay? Next page over, the action plan. This is where, OMG, do you get to sell your value once again, and so why they need to hire you and not even think about going with anybody else. Again, for time, I'm going to just ask you to peruse through that at your convenience. If you want to add something to it, add it. If you want to take it away, take it away. But here is the stop the press. We're going to talk about this for a moment. In the bottom box, it says due diligence. The reason you want to pause on this one and talk about what that means, you know what it means. We assume, and we all know what happens when we assume, that they know. No, they don't. I don't care if they bought before. I don't care if they haven't bought before. Your job is to remind them and refresh them on how the business of real estate now works. And it is important for the consumer to understand what their due diligence is. It is important that as we start getting, we're under contract and we get the HOA docs, probably more than anything else. If you have a work truck that you bring home every night and it sits there over the weekend, the HOA better allow it to happen, because some won't. If you know that grandma comes and visits in a motorhome for 3 months during the winter because they're getting out of wherever they're at, or come up for the summer, you need to know if the HOA will allow that, because some won't. So you need to know what the HOA, if we find a property in an HOA, what it allows and what it doesn't allow. All right, that is critical. Also, doesn't apply as much in this market, but this is just kind of a file this one away. If we ever get back into a market that is spiraling down and people, one of the first things they stop paying before they stop paying their mortgage is they often will stop paying for the HOA. That is still a requirement that will need to be paid. Obviously, it will need to be paid out of closing. If not, the HOA can go sue the homeowner. Now, this happened years ago. I will pray it never happens again, but I'm just going to throw it out as a little side, just file it away. One of the things you want to take a look at in the HOA is, are they financially solid? In other words, what is the delinquency rate of any of the homeowners? Okay, role play scenario. Let's say they projected that the roof had 10 years of life on it. It was going to cost X amount from everyone's HOA payment to go into the fund for the roof. Market declines, people aren't paying. They're now short that money. Roof don't care. Roof says, I'm still wearing out. I'm still going to get fixed on time. Because if not, I'm going to leak. When you look at the docs, you need to make sure that there's any long-term projections, which typically they are somewhere, that they're not delinquent and they're not falling behind. Because what will happen is year 9 or 9.5 of that 10-year roof payment getting ready to be doled out, they will look. If they are short, there will be an assessment made to haul the homeowners. So if they're $10,000 short, and there's 100 homeowners, you do the math, whatever that amount is, that's where the assessment will come in for everybody. Now, way back when, it would come up that people would get into the HOA, and then 30, 40, 90 days later, 6 months later, they'd get anywhere from a $10,000 to a $50,000 assessment bill. I don't know about you, but I'd have had a heart attack. Okay, so that happened a lot, unfortunately. Again, we don't have it right now. I'm just throwing it out since we're talking about the things you need to pay attention to, is you need to double check. And that's why it is important that the homeowner, the new potential homeowner, pay attention to the details of the HOA docs. I know some of them are as boring as all get out, but you have a sleepless night. We all get them now and then. It'll put you down. There you go. All right, so just explain to your buyer the importance of due diligence. Same thing with home inspections. If they waive home inspections, they need to be aware at some point what is starting to wear out so they can project what they're going to need in a couple of months, in 6 months, 9 months, whatever, a year, to be able to cover those major expenses. All right, so just know that. All right, next page down, please, in your buyer consultation I love this one, is how to explain interest rates. Now, I would often get asked, so what are the interest rates? And I'd go, I don't know, what's your blood pressure? Because it fluctuates, just like the interest rates do. So the best way to describe this, and you have to use your hands to do it. You know, if I couldn't talk with my hands, I'd be in big trouble. So the best way to explain this is based off this chart. When you look at a 30 to 50-year average, the average interest rate is between 5 and 10%, which is right where we're at right now, right in the middle. All right, now, will we see those 2% again? Probably not. Nor, and let's hope not, we're not going to see the 15 to 20% either. You just now pop their bubble, and they realize that 5 to 10, not so shabby after all, because it could be worse. So that is how you explain the interest rates. Over a 30 to 50-year average, they are 5 to 10%, which is right where we're at right now. We'll probably never see that 2% again, but nor are we going to see the 15 to 20. However, and look, we even put it on the bottom of that slide. You marry the house and date the rate. Who says that? Donnie has said that for months on end. You marry the house and date the rate. So, Ms. Buyer, you will do exactly what me and everybody else has ever done. If you get in the house that's able to, you're able to get, if the interest rates come down, you will do what we've all done. You refinance. And if they go up, you just sit back and giggle because you're locked in at a lesser rate. There you go. Puts it into perspective. Your I's and your S's are going to love this. The D is going to love the graph. The S is going to love the graph. But the I and the C are going to love the explanation of it as well. Okay? All right, next page over real quick. We're just going to mention the fact that it is important that we do not put the cart before the horse. I cannot go out and show property until I know what your purchasing power is. So I'm going to have a couple of my preferred lenders recommended here. I usually like to have 2 to 3 on there. That way they can choose who they want to go with. You can also offer to do an introduction to the lender they pick of, an email introducing the two parties together. That way you make sure that it's being instigated and that they're not dragging their feet. So there you go. And oh, by the way, Ms. Buyer, let me just share with you, whether it be the lender or whether it be the other service providers, I just want you to know, I don't know if I need to say this or not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I have no skin in the game on any of these. They don't pay me, I don't pay them. But I recommend them only because they give the quality of service I expect for my clients. And as long as they're doing that, I'm okay. All right? So, again, that is one of those questions that are often rotating through their head. So, what's your skin in the game on this? You just eliminated that, showed your integrity and your ethics as well. You're good, move on. Next page over, just so as you get prepared to go talk to a lender, these are the things that are going to be needed to be at the ready. I just wanted to prep you ahead of time so you knew what to pull. Your D is going great, your S is going okay, good, your C is going spot on, your I is going wow. You're taking care of me on all this stuff? Okay, good. All right, so again, bullet points, not sentence, because they don't want to read the sentences. They want to skim it right down, and they want to be able to check it off. All right, here's where some fun comes in. Ms. Buyer, we're going to chat. And you kind of change your tone and pause to break the flow of the other stuff. Here are 8 things that you will not do during the course of the buying process. Now, when we are done going through these, I am going to have you sign it in blood, okay? And there's usually a little bit of a giggle, and it's okay. All right, good. So let's go over these real fast. And you should be able to read this upside down because your finger is going to be on that page going bullet point by bullet point. You will not quit your job or change jobs. You will not co-sign for anything. You will not buy a new car, boat, trailer, or motorcycle. All right? You will not make any large purchases, as in furniture. You will not open any new accounts. You will not stop making payments on what you currently have. You will not file for bankruptcy, please. And you will not take advice from your mechanic, your hairdresser, your nail salon. Pick something funny that they're connected with and throw it in there. These are things that will mess things up. And this is then where, again, this is another one of those pages, put a star on it because you do not want to cut this one and cut corners on this one. I'm going to make sure that we've had some fun and some giggles over this one. These are all things, again, remember I told you my job was to be your advocate and your consultant? Okay, this is where I'm being your advocate. My job is to partially protect you as well from yourself. I get it. You're going to find this house. It's going to have a 3-car garage. It's going to be by the lake. And you go, cool, let's go buy a boat. Oh, okay, now I need a trailer for the boat. Oh, wait, I need a truck to pull the trailer to pull the boat to get it down to the lake. Oh, and honey, she wants, all new furniture. So let's go put that on layaway. Because here's what's going to happen that a lot of times the consumer does not understand. When we get to the end, the tail end, before they hit the fund button on the computer from the lender, they will run your credit score again. If anything is off or is thrown out of balance, you may not be able to get that loan. We see it happen all the time. About 30% of loans, according to some stats that we have gotten, fall apart because the client has done one of these things. I am not going to let you do that. This is why you're going to sign it in blood here in a minute for me, because I don't want this falling apart, because at that point, you're running the risk of losing your earnest money deposit and potentially getting sued. I'm not letting that happen. You okay? We good? We're still friends? Okay, we're good. All right, sign it in blood. And then there's usually a giggle. I always had a red pin tucked away. I would pull the red pin out and go, okay, so this will work. And I hand it to him. That definitely gets a giggle. I said, smiley face, star, I don't care, data, whatever. Okay, just whatever. All right, you can sign it for Mickey Mouse for all I care. They have some fun with it. And then I go, wait a minute, let me borrow this back real quick. I pull it back over to me. I take a photo of it. And I go, I'm going to be texting you this every once in a while, reminding you not to do any of these things. Because if you do, I hope that furniture you've got on layaway fits in the boat and in the truck, because that's where you're going to be living. Okay? And then they go, oh, okay, she's serious on this one. I've always done it this way. Always, always, always. And I never had anybody go down that rabbit hole because they remembered. And I would text it to them, or I would email that screenshot to them every once in a while. Remember, don't be doing that. All right, so we have a good giggle. Lighten the load a little bit. We're good. Move on. All right. Who covers what? Now, again, here's what I'm going to ask you on this page and the next page over, agents. Take a look at the footprint and the area in which you work. If there is anything that is unique or special to the area in which you serve, please add it in there or take out, if you do downtown DC, you guys are Virginia, most of you, but let's say you're down or even Northern Virginia, most of those high-rises don't have fireplaces in them or have septics or wells you need to be concerned about. But again, I would still leave it on there, and here's why. Here's the takeaway on this page. We used to hear, once you went through with the list of what the buyer needed to cover or what the seller needed to cover, whichever consultation you were in, and we would often hear, well, how come I have to cover all this? What's the other side covering? This visual stops that objection dead in its tracks. Because now they're able to see, and all you need to say on this page is, As you can see, both sides have financial buy-in to make the transaction complete. That's all you need to let them know. That takes away that objection, shuts it right down. They're good. They can look at it later if they want. Most of them aren't, all right? But the next page, funds and reserves that are needed. Again, take a look at the footprint that you are serving. Check your area, the price point in your area, and make sure this is current or close enough range so that they know, and it's on page 21 of the handout, of the funds and reserves that are needed. Let me scroll down just a little bit for you. There you go. So again, take a look at the footprint that you are in and see, are these still close to being accurate? Okay, there you go. All right, next couple of pages over, again, you can either leave this in or take this out. I would actually, too, I would go to your lender. Don't forget, we got our amazing First Heritage in-house, and I would ask them if they have any flyers or handouts that talk about basic loan options or packages. They've got a plethora of support documents that you can include into this or add this into your presentation as well, or have it as a support document, all right? Now, so you just want to mention that to them. Now, next page over, it's called the search. This is the page that I love. And again, this is where you absolutely sell your value and drop the mic, Willy Wonka and the golden ticket. You can't do this without me. You see the little tic-tac-toe game on there? If we're going to play tic-tac-toe, I'm winning because I'm taking that X outside the box. As long as it is legal, ethical, and moral, there's no law that says I can't think outside the box. I'm going to do it for you. So let me explain, Mr. Buyer. I like to think of every house having a front door, side door, back door, and a garage door. The front door is typically what's known as our MLS. Now, yes, some of the properties are listed there. Some. Notice I slipped the word some in there. So before we go any further, though, let me ask you a question. As I get ready to develop out my marketing strategy to find the property for you, let me ask you, do you want to see some of the homes or do you want to know about all of the homes? What are you going to say? Shout it out. All. All. You want to see them all. I have never had anybody tell me, oh, no, I just want to see, no. You want to see them all. Perfect, because guess what? When you hire me as your professional, I have access to stuff that you, the consumer, do not have access to. Intriguing? They're going, yeah, because we all want what we can't have, all right? So this is how this works. Yes, the MLS is one option. Anybody's got access to that. But here I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to set you up with a search through a program that we have called Real Scout. It's my VIP access to what's out there on the market. Okay? You're giving them priority access to your program. And again, if you don't know about Real Scout, learn about it, get it downloaded on your phone, and know how to be able to get the client set up on it as well. The reason you want them using Real Scout versus the other online stuff, the ones that rhyme with pillow and anything else, because what happens when they go on and start searching those sites? What else pops up? Other agents. Do you want them calling other agents? No. You keep them tucked in under your wing with you need me. I'm going to provide you access to everything you need. That's why you hire me. And you don't do it yourself because you're an idiot. Don't tell them that, though. Don't say that part. So we're going to give you access to that. Now, in addition to that, I'm able to search off-market properties. That's a biggie. And when you listen to some, and they've been talking about, there's certain coaches that are out there that teach you the techniques of how to go for off-market properties. That is the buzzword for now, is they want to know about off-market properties. And what is that? First Up. Remember the first thing I asked you to do is to upload First Up onto your phone? So you had it? There it is. That's one. That's only one. Now, it is also going to allow me to network with over 5,000 of my colleagues within Samson Properties. I will also reach out with a I have a crazy question letter. And they're going to look at you and go, what's the crazy question letter? Oh, wait, it's a bonus I have for all of you agents. All right, so basically, let's say we find an area that you really like. We're going to call it, I don't know, Cardinal Terrace. There are no listings in there right now for what you're looking for. So let's say you're needing the 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath, but there's none on the market. But I can run a search through my MLS, through a program that I have, or you can just say I have access to run a search of those properties, and I can find who owns the 5-bedroom, 4.5 baths in Cardinal Terrace. I will send the I have a crazy question letter out to them. And it basically says, I have a crazy question. I have a ready, willing, and able buyer looking for the 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath. I will give you guys the template or make it available to you. In fact, I think it's already up in resources for you. Looking in this area that's wanting to buy in Cardinal Terrace. I see that your property meets that criteria. Here is my crazy question. Are you thinking about selling anytime in the next couple of months? Because typically, people will start prepping 3 to 6 months in advance before they actually list. So you're plucking that one. Now, here is the integrity takeaway. I will include a PS on that letter that says, if you are currently working with another agent, this is not intended to interfere with that relationship. Please give this letter to your agent and ask them to call me. Now, does it work? Mm-hmm. Does it work every time? No, because nothing works every time. But when it does, man, are you golden. Done it a couple times. I got a call one time from an agent, and she says, hey, Lynn, it's so-and-so at XYZ. And I said, hey, how are you? She said, great. She said, first off, I got to tell you, I'm impressed with the crazy question letter. And I giggled. I said, oh, okay. And she said, my client, who I'm working with to get ready to list their property, called me and told me they got it, they read it, and the PS on there was, not intended to interfere. If you are currently working with an agent, please give them this letter and ask them to call me. My client has given me instructions. And I said, oh. She said, yeah. They said that they were impressed with your integrity and your professionalism. Said that if this house met your buyer's needs, I was to remind them when the offer came in that it was from you, because they would seriously consider accepting it. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, fair enough. I said, when's it going on the market? And it was like a couple weeks out, and I said, perfect. So as soon as it went on the market, I got called that it was going on. I was the first one. I mean, literally, she was putting the lockbox on the door. She told me when to be there. So we got in. It was a perfect match for what we were looking for. So we wrote a strong, good offer, and she reminded her client it was from me, and the offer got accepted. This was in a very tight and competitive market, but because I showed integrity, we got the offer accepted as well. So that is the takeaway on that one. Now, moving on. Now, you don't have to explain all that to your client, but I wanted you to have that as a side note. The other thing that I will do for you, I have access to search for other off-market properties. So once we've seen a couple things, we've determined exactly what you're looking for, I will run a reverse search and see if we can find a match off-market. Agents, this is how this one plays out. You have the ability to look for expired, withdrawn, and canceled listings, correct? Okay. You do not, I will repeat, do not go to the homeowner directly. You will show your professional courtesy and you will go to the listing agent. Say, hey, Susan, it's Lynn over at Samson Properties. I see that you had a listing on 123 Main Street in Cardinal Terrace. I see that it's currently withdrawn or off the market right now. Crazy question. Are you guys thinking about putting it back on the market anytime soon? She goes, well, funny, your timing is perfect. Funny you should ask. Yes, as a matter of fact, we are getting ready to put it back on. I said, oh, good. So what can you tell me about it? The reason it had come off the market, I had two that worked with. One was hubby was unloading the attic, came down the stairs, twisted the foot, broke up a bunch of stuff in his foot and his ankle, had to go in for surgery. They decided that surgery, rehab, and healing was not going to go hand in hand with moving, so they pulled it off the market temporarily. I just happened to hit it back at the right time. She said, well, I appreciate the call. I appreciate you not going to the homeowner and trying to, backstab me. I said, not my style. Don't do that. And so she said, okay, so we got in there first. It was a good match. Again, we got in when it went back on the market, got in there, got to see it, it worked out, we got the offer accepted. Now, the other time that it paid off was when I called and said, by any chance, is it going back on the market? And they said, yeah, as a matter of fact, we're getting ready to relist it tomorrow. And I said, great, what can you tell me about it? Well, the reason it had come off the market was the dog had a litter of puppies. And they did not want people coming and going from the house and disturbing the mom and disturbing the puppies and all that commotion and then trying to move them if they got an offer in right away. So they didn't think it was fair for the dogs, and so they just pulled it off the market for a few weeks. Anybody's got a dog or cat would absolutely understand that. So I said, cool. So anyway, we found out when it was going to go back on. I was able to get in there with my client. She had him sign it. She was there. She had reactivated it on the MLS, was putting the lockbox on, and she says, if you can meet me I'm going to be there at 11:30 doing this and this. Lockbox will be on by 12. It'll be active by then. If you can be there at 12:05, you can get in. I said, we're on our way. Got in there, and she was there. I said, please, I don't care. Didn't bother me. And I know that's not the norm, but I knew who she was, and it was all good. And it turned out we got to see the puppies as well. They were now, I think, 6 weeks old. They were adorable. I'm just saying. They were just cute as can be. So, yes, we get to hold them. And as it turned out, clients love the house. They love the dogs. They ended up with 2 dogs and the house. So I said, so is the house the gift with purchase when you buy the dogs, or is the dogs the gift with purchase when you buy the house? I mean, which way does it go? So we had a good giggle over that, but it turned out perfect. But again, I thought outside the box. I went to a property that was off market, went to the agent, found out what was going on, and was the first one to get my foot back in right after it went active on the MLS. And yes, well, we're writing the offer. Others are scheduling their showings. But we got ours accepted, okay? So again, that is a great way to sell your value and think outside the box all at one time. So again, you're promising your client, do you want to see all of them or just some of them? Some of them is on the MLS. All of them is what I've got access to as a professional in this industry, which is why you need to hire me. You don't quite do it that way, but you get the point. All right? All right. So the other thing that we want to mention in the consultation with them is not to go alone. You want to make sure that they understand if they go to any of these things, they are not being represented by the agent that's there. Okay? So always make sure. I used to give them a couple of my business cards, say we can either thumbtack it or staple it to your forehead, or we can tattoo my information on your arm. Either one, I'm good with either or all. And the first thing you're going to do if you go to an open house that if you're out for a Sunday drive and find one, and you want to go in and check it out, the first thing you do is you walk in and hand them my business card. Say, Lynn said I was to give this to you right away. Okay? And a couple of them did. I would get a call from an agent that said, oh my God, Vince came in, it was a hoot. And I said, yeah, he is. He said the first thing he walked in and said, I have my agent's business card thumbtacked to my head and I was supposed to give you one. And he handed it over. I said, yeah, that would be him. All right. So just let them know that those are areas that you are not able to represent them unless you are with them. Okay? Protecting them. Their advocate, their consultant. This next page, this is the other page that you will star and not cut corners on. This is the Willy Wonka and the golden ticket moment. You're going to talk about your wants and needs. If you're referencing the handout from Class A, you're on page 25. All right. You're going to ask them. All right, so let's talk about your wants and needs. What are you needing and why? And the why is the deal breaker. The why is that Willy Wonka golden ticket. Most agents just say, hey, what do you need? What do you want? What do you need? What do you want? And then that's it. Here is where this will separate you from the crowd, will sell your value like boom, and will let you shine big time. Because, again, one of the bonuses that goes with this is the email that says, how did I do? And this is how this plays out. All right? So you're sitting down with them. You're going to find out that, what they're wanting, what they're needing, and then you're going to pause. If you've been through Jumpstart Session 1, we covered this first thing at the page 1 of Jumpstart Session 1. Why are you in the business? But then I asked you the key takeaway. And I paid $3,000 for coaching and seminars to learn this technique, and I cried all the way to the bank from that point forward. It separated me from the crowd, and I could land almost every presentation I would go do. Understanding the disc and this, all right? Why is that important to you? How do you see yourself using that space? Why is that important to you? Okay, let me give you an example while you're processing those words in your head. Sat down with a client. What are you guys looking for? They wanted something with a large yard. Nothing was said about the house, just that they wanted a large yard. I says, okay, define large yard. Bigger than a postage stamp, half acre, acre, what are we talking? Half acre to an acre. And I said, okay, makes sense. All right, so let me ask you this. How do you see yourself using that space? And why is that important? That was the golden ticket. They looked at me and smiled and said, we're getting ready to retire in about a year. Our lifelong dream had been to have a dog rescue. I said, oh, so tell me about this. What particular breed? Just explain this to me. And then how do you see the space laid out? Well, they had thought about it. Because they proceeded to tell me that the kennels would be over here, they would be, the concrete so they could hose them down, and they'd be, could be closed in as well, they could be heated, they could be air conditioned, and have the misters in there, and they would be all this, and then they'd have a play area, a run area, a training area, and then over this side they'd have hopefully a shed for storage, or be backside the garage where they could run water and have the area to bathe the dogs, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking, I make them live here. This sounds like it's going to be pretty posh. I said, cool, I love it, I love it. And I said, so, curiosity, is there going to be a house on this property, or are you just going to live with the dogs? And they laughed. And they said, oh yeah, 3-bedroom, 2-bath is fine. It was about the yard. It wasn't about the house. The house was just going to be the bonus there. So, knowing that they wanted a half acre to an acre and how they were going to use it made all the difference in the world. So I said, okay, so with that, obviously the land needs to be flat. It can't be elevated or sloped because that won't work. Correct? Correct. All right, so no lush landscaping because you're going to rip it out anyway. Correct. Okay. Fence would be a bonus because then it would save you from having to put a fence in all the way around. Exactly. So that is how that conversation flowed. I now knew not the target, but the bullseye of exactly what they were looking for. Now, if I had not have asked, I'd have been showing them a half acre with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and they would have been going, no, this doesn't work. No, this doesn't work. No, this doesn't work. And I've been going, come on, you told me you wanted a half acre, this is a half acre. But I didn't ask the right question, and that's where most agents drop the ball. They don't ask enough of the right questions on this, and you find yourself running all over town, showing them stuff that really doesn't meet what they're looking for, but you haven't figured out why. Now you can ask the right question. How do you see yourself using that space? Why is that important? And there you go. You've got it. All right? So we were able to go for the bullseye. I went and looked. Whenever possible, I try to preview homes or property because they're working. My job is to be their agent. So if I get a chance to, I will go preview. Because sometimes creative photography, we all know what that looks like. So I would say, okay, we found one. It's got the space, but it's in. I don't think it's going to work. But if you want to see it, let me know. We'll go show it. They usually trusted my judgment, and we didn't. but we went specifically to the ones that we knew would work. Therefore, we only had to see a handful of properties because I didn't waste their time, which your D appreciates and your C appreciates as well. Do not waste their time, especially the Ds, all right? So went in for the bullseye, nailed it. They thought I was that in a bag of chips, and we were able to find it, write the offer, and all was good. So needless to say, 2 guesses what their housewarming present was. A wheelbarrow full of dog stuff. They loved it, okay? The other time that this paid off big time, it was a client that we had met through the bridal bazaar when Carolyn and I were doing bridal bazaars. They got the condo. Their first one was born. About a year and a half later, I get a message from the 1.5-year-old who was almost 2. And he goes, Miss Lynn, I need your help. Mom and Dad said I can get a puppy, but I need to have a house with a yard in order to get the puppy. Can you help me? It's like, you bet. So I responded back, email. I said, you bet. I certainly can help you. So tell Mom or Dad to give me a call. We'll set up an appointment and we'll come and talk about this. So needless to say, I had him involved in the conversation because I needed to know, are we talking little dog or big dog? Do we need run space or not run space? So he thought it was pretty cool that he got to be involved in this. So found out they were wanting a 5-bedroom. And if it was going to be a 2-story, they needed a main suite on the first floor. I'm thinking, 5-bedroom? There's you, and the little guy. And they said, well, I said, okay, so share with me how you envision using this space and why is that important? Well, obviously they want the main suite on the first floor because they're expecting parents to come and hang out. I said, okay, fine, that makes sense. They'd have the upstairs, then the little guy would have his room, and then the nursery and a playroom. I said, whoa, back up. Nursery? She was expecting. Family didn't even know it yet. So we were able to find exactly what they needed, got them in, and the housewarming party, I got to go, and they had we had the stairs with a ribbon across it so nobody could go upstairs. So it was enjoying the downstairs, and then the little guy took him upstairs to show Mom and Dad's bedroom, his room, and then he says, and here's the nursery. And I heard the squeal coming from the parents upstairs, okay? But if I hadn't have asked those right questions, I wouldn't have known why and how they wanted and needed that space to be used. So there you have it. Ask those key questions. Now the takeaway is, the minute you get back, and again, I'm going to make sure you guys all have this, the how did I do email. It's basically all mapped out. All you got to do is add in the bullet points of this is what you said you wanted and why. So it basically starts off with something to the effect of, when we met, I listened carefully to what you had to say. This is what I heard you say was important to you and why, that you need a boom, did a boom, did a boom, did a boom. Did I miss anything? Did I get it right? Okay, from here, our next step is this, our next step is this. There you go, all right? That is done immediately, because if for any crazy reason they are interviewing another agent, I'll bet you $5 that other agent is not sending them this, let alone asking them the intensity of why that is important and how they saw themselves using that space. Okay, so that is your Willy Wonka golden ticket takeaway. Next page, I share with them just real quick, Mr. Buyer, just wanted to let you know, whenever possible, I will try to go out and preview a home because I know you're busy at work and can't always drop and run at a moment's notice. So I will go out and take a look at some of the properties. If it absolutely meets your criteria, obviously I will let you know, but this is the scorecard I'm going to use, but this is also the scorecard we're going to use when we go out to preview homes. This is going to keep those that want to bounce all over the place tucked back in onto their lane. They're going to rate, and again, when we go in and see a place, I would have this attached to the client copy of the MLS. Once we saw the place, we would fill out this quick survey. It literally takes a minute or less before we left the house. Well, it's still fresh in their head, but here's the takeaway on this. The bottom of it says 1, 2, 3, 4 is in red, 5, 6, 7 is in a different color, 8, 9, 10 is in a different color. How would they rate the property? If they give it a 1 to 4, I want to know, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? Because obviously, I missed something. So you take the heat on it. If it's a 5, 6, or 7, I want to know what's the one thing that property did not have that they are looking for. If it's an 8, 9, or 10, when do you want me to write an offer? It narrows it down. Again, your D is going to appreciate this because they're kind of a cut the crap, get to the bottom line kind of person. Your C's, sometimes your S's, they want to think about it. They want to think about it. They're not sure. They want to think about it. A great response if they want to think about it. I appreciate you want to think it over, but let me ask you a question. With as quickly as we're seeing properties go off the market, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if they're already looking at other offers or not. So my question is, if you want to think about it, that's okay, because this is a big decision. But if we wait too long, are you going to be okay with somebody else sleeping in the home you wanted in 30 or 45 days?
I like that.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Again, have these little things in your little, toy box, tool chest, makeup bag, whatever you want to call it on the side, and when you need them, you pull them out, all right? Now, the other thing that I do with this, once we have finished seeing I'm just going to say 5 properties in the one day, I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask them, if these were the only 5 properties on the market, which is not, but if you had to make a decision today, which you don't, I want you to put these in order of your first choice, second, third, fourth, fifth. It takes them a second to do it. You write it down as well, because you've got this with you. You write it down what was their first choice, second, third, fourth, and fifth choice. What did we miss on any of these? What did I miss? Because I went based off what you told me you were looking for. What did we miss? There we go. Now, if I look up the next morning and find out that property number 2 on their list is no longer available, it's gone under contract, I'm going to let you know. Just so you know, property number 2 you can scratch because it's already under contract. Okay? It lets them see that there is a little bit of a sense of urgency as well, and it keeps them from dragging their feet too long sometimes. Okay? Excuse me. All right. Next page over real quick. Remember I told you I would serve as your advocate and your consultant? Well, this is part of my protection mode. We are aware in this industry that wiring fraud is rampant nationwide. You will not, first off, when we get ready to go, the buyer gets to choose the title company. I'm going to recommend Cardinal Title because I know they have the protection tools in place to protect the wiring of money. So I'm going to make sure that before you wire anything, you will talk to me and let me know, and I will be talking to you. I do not want accidentally an email being hacked and you being advised to send the money, your earnest money deposit or anything else, to another location that is not where it's supposed to go. Okay, so we'll talk about that later, but I just want to give you a heads up. All right, next page over just for fun. If you are wondering why the neighbor is mowing your lawn, that's maybe because there wasn't a survey done and nobody knows where the property lines are. So for fun, just this also lets you see, I've got a whole mini-series of free reports that I can provide you during the process of us working together to make sure that you got all the tools that you need. All right, last thing in our handout, again, this is going to help if you have a sleepless night. It'll put you down. All industries, and real estate is no different, has its own terminology. I know if I was to go to work with you, you would have terminology in your line of work that I'd be going, huh? What'd they say? What'd they mean? So I just want to give you a sneak peek as to what some of them are. There you go. There you have it. All right, so at this point, let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I feel that we could comfortably work together. Do you agree? They're shaking their head this way because you're shaking your head gently this way. Great. Okay. Do you have any other questions before we move on? Great. Now, okay, so perfect. Perfect. Our next step is I need to obtain your signature on the buyer-broker agreement so that I can start working on your behalf. How difficult was that? Sign here, press hard. And anybody that's old like me knows what sign here, press hard means. I heard some giggles in the room, all right? I'll explain it sometime. All right, so that's our first step. Next step is I need you to get prepared to go talk to the lender so I know what your purchasing power is. Well, that is being done. My next step is to start setting up the programs and the searches so that I can start looking at what's out there, but my hands are tied until you've talked to the lender and I know what your purchasing power is. There you have it, all right? What I would advise and recommend is to have the buyer-broker agreement either printed out in a folder and at the ready, or you bring up your laptop and you bring it up on your laptop for them to digitally sign on the spot. Here's why. If you say, okay, great, I think we're going to be good, wonderful, awesome, there we go. All right? And then Ken takes off and goes out to a barbecue with his buddies and families and friends, and he goes, oh, I'm so excited. I had an appointment, and Lynn's going to, help me buy a house. And they say, oh, no. Our neighbor down the street, their little dog has just gotten a license. You need to use the little dog. And Ken goes, oh, I love dogs. Yeah, I'll use the dog. And you just lost out. You just set yourself up to have it ripped away from you. So that is why I would recommend having it in print at the ready, or even having it already loaded up so that they can digitally sign it, and you're ready to go. And here's the other takeaway on this. Have it as our next step is, my next step is, your next step is. My next step is, your next step is. It's called Next Step Obsessed. The reason your Ds are going to love it, because God forbid you waste their time. The S is going to go, wow, yeah, they're on it, because they want to know there's a system. They want to know there's a checklist. They want to know you've got it, and they want to know you're going to follow it. Your Cs are going to go spot on, because they know you're following a system. And don't waste their time either. Your Is are going to go, wow, you're doing all of this just for me? And they're going to be so impressed. But here's the takeaway. And sometimes I hear this and I just giggle. Agents are like, well, they're all over the place. Well, did you do a buyer consultation? No. You asked for it, okay? This way, when you say our next step is this, your next step is this, my next step is this. Follow up with the email, our next step, your next step, my next step. Your next step, my next step. The day they call you and say, okay, I've got my step done, what is my next step? That is when you get on your desk and do the happy dance. And hopefully nobody can see you because it's going to be embarrassing. But you do the happy dance. That tells you you've got them tucked in, hand in hand, and you are walking them through this process methodically. All your D, your I, your S, your C are going to be going spot on. They've got enough on their plate. They don't need all this other chaos. They want to know you've got them. You're going to take them through this methodically. You're going to take them through, because you promise you're going to do it with less hassle. No, you're proving you're doing it with less hassle, because you've got a system. And that's what we need to know, is there's a system. And you're following the system. Checklist from start to finish. Okay? So there is how you walk through a buyer consultation. Now, here's some fun bonus stuff. You're sitting there going, okay, Lynn, that's great and that's wonderful, but how do I actually present it to them? So here's some options. You can go through page by page. That is one option. Not what I would recommend. I'll pick them up later. I would actually, you can staple them. You can put them in a Samson folder. You can color code them in the 3-prong, school folders. You can get the plastic folders with a little side thingy on the side and give them that way. But my favorites of favorites. Yes, there is that heat binding machine, but I got one even better. And I just hit my microphone, which made it go boom, boom, all right? When you take this and have it all customized, our phenomenal print center over here is able to run them through, and they do it in a booklet. So, and it costs what, $3-4? $4.20 to have it printed. It's on the glossy, okay, it's nice. They staple it in the middle and it folds over, so you've got this great presentation to leave them, the booklet. That is impressive looking, All right? Now, here's some other things I want you to consider. Yes, you can color code this to your heart's content with whatever color you're branding yourself in. When you are doing this, one of the takeaways is, as you can see, there's still white space. That is important. You are generally meeting somebody after they've had a long day at work. Their brain, that ADD brain, is on overload. This is going to give them a chance to really pay attention to what's on here. I have seen some that were done, beautiful backgrounds, beautiful artwork in there. The brain triggers off the ADD and they cannot pay attention to it. Okay? There's too much. Studies have proven, which is why school paper is white, or the yellow legal pads, the yellow or the white, are the best because, again, it allows the brain to rest occasionally. If it is full artwork behind and the text on top of it, brain goes into overload. They're not going to they'll only do a couple pages and then their brain shut down. All right, you don't want that to happen. Also, with it the white on this, they can write on it. For those that are wanting and needing to do that, they want to be able to write on this because this is a workbook kind of for them as well. It is okay to have a blank page either in the front and or the back. When you create these, they need to be in, they say divided by 4. So 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 20, 24, 28, 32 pages. Because when they print them, it's 1, 2, on the back it's 3, and on the back it's 4. That's 1 page in the print run. Okay, so just again, if you need help with that, double check with the gang over there. They do need to have it in a PDF. So if you've done it in Word and you've got it all done, you save it in a PDF, and it can go right into the print shop, which is where these got done. And Ken, thank you for grabbing this. Somebody asked me, and I always get asked, where do I get my energy to do this and do so many of these classes? This is what fuels me up. When I have a client, when I have you are my clients, I guess. When I have an agent that takes what has been taught and literally runs with it and takes it to their personality and their style and maximize it out and are using it, this is what gives me energy and excitement to see what you guys are doing with some of the stuff you've done. And I've got great success stories from either the newsletter or some of the other stuff that agents will do. Phenomenal job on some of this. So Ken, thank you for letting me borrow this to show this. But that would be my recommendation. Now, once you get it customized out, I would send it to the print shop and get 4 to 6 printed and ready, to have it at the ready. Because the day that you get the phone call from someone that says, hey, I just won the lottery, I'm going to buy $1 million house every other week for the next, 6 months, but you need to be here in 5 minutes. And you say, oh, shoot, I need to print my buyer consultation. That is when your computer is going to do an update. That is when the internet's going to go down. That is when your paper is going to jam, and then you realize you don't have enough papers. That is when the electricity was going to go out because there's a power surge because there was a power storm. Then that is also when you're going to run out of ink. And don't do that to yourself, okay? Pre-plan. Get them done, get them ready. If you want to send it to me, I'd love to see it. But then have it documented out or have at least a couple printed out so you've got them at the ready, okay? Now, there is a seller one as well that, again, very similar, but the marketing strategy is a little bit different because you're going to be handling that just slightly different. What I used to do, whenever possible, I would go and do a drive-by of their house, and I would put their house on the front cover. Okay? I know this isn't the seller side, but you want a bonus? You want a bonus? Anybody? Yeah. Say yes. Okay. All right, good. Good answer. All right, so what I used to do was obviously do the drive-by. I would then go take their address and buy the domain name. So if it was 123 Main Street, Cardinal Terrace, I'd buy that domain. Cost a few bucks. I would set up a link on my website for their coming soon. I would do a QR code that was connected, go directly to that page on my site. I would have that QR code somewhere on their consultation. I'll go, oh, hey, do me a favor, pull out your phone, scan this QR code real quick, and they see their property come up. It's just the front of the house. That creates a wow. Now, somebody said, yeah, but what if you don't get the listing? First off, I always got the listing. Second off, you do a good job, you will get the listing. Third, well, if you didn't, would somebody else go to do that? Good luck, I own the domain name. You think I'm giving it to them? Ain't that stupid? Okay, so you just impressed them to the nine by that wow factor that takes you 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most to do, and you've got that wow factor. There you go. All right, so that's one on the seller side that you can pull as well. If you've got free reports or your newsletter already up on your website, include a QR code, not only where your testimonials are, but somewhere else in there that says, scan the QR code for my monthly newsletter or my blog with monthly tips. Again, we're taking all these things and connecting the dots or connecting the pieces of the puzzle together for you and going, you know what, you don't even need to think anymore. We're going to hand it all to you on a silver platter. We've got this. We've got it set up. All you need to do is say, I'm ready to do it. I need help. Where do I start? We'll walk you through it. That's why we've got the Monday afternoon KV Core classes here on your basic website. Now, let's talk about KV Core real quick. Yes, KV Core is going to be changing its name shortly. It's going to go under Bold Trails. Don't panic. Everything will roll over. If you think, oh my God, I hate KV Core, I understand. I get you. For a lot of us, we wanted to start drinking at Monday morning at 9 o'clock when it came to KV Core. However, think of it this way. Your KV Core platform is courtesy of who? Who pays for it? Cardinal. Samson don't pay for it. Cardinal pays for it. If you were to go out and get it on your own, you're looking at $500 to $1,500 a month out of pocket to get what we hand you free. Okay? So, KV Core, even if you only use the website, that's fine. We're gonna make sure you know how to make it sing and dance. Leverage it. You've got it, it's free, leverage the sucker. Now, if you go, okay, but I need a CRM, okay, you can use KV Core, you can use Chime, you can use an Excel file, you can use 3x5 file cards for all I care. It can be done. Then, if you go, okay, but I like that, but I want to make it sing and dance, I want to use landing pages, squeeze pages, all that kind of, that's the third pillar of it. You cannot do any of those two other parts without having your website set up. Okay, so we're going to start everybody making sure their website is up, and by the way, you have a current photo of yourself up there. I should never go into our Samson site and see no pictures showing up. Because that means you're a secret agent, which means you're probably in the witness protection program, thus not wanting to be seen. And our amazing Zach, who's in the back of the room, does phenomenal headshots for you. And who pays for those headshots? Cardinal Title does. Okay? So know that these are all the tools that we're giving you, courtesy of Cardinal Title, which is why we recommend when you have the opportunity to use Cardinal Title, we're going to ask you to use Cardinal Title because they will wow you and they will impress you. And if not, if there's a problem, I'll tell you what, the management team and our management team, they read all the reviews and they're on it. So just know that they do an amazing job. And they are what provide you all the tools, all the bells, all the whistles, all the Real Scout, the First Up, the KV Core, the Chime. Does anybody ever learn anything from me? Those hands in this room better pop up real fast. Okay, I'm going to ask that question again. Does anybody ever learn anything from me? Now the hands come up. All right, very good. You can thank Cardinal. You can thank Cardinal. Okay. So it is because of Cardinal that makes everything else happen here at Samson. So all these offices, all the training rooms, all the conference rooms that you can meet clients in, the copiers, all of that stuff. The print center, all courtesy of Cardinal. So now you know.